Hey, welcome back to the Experience Share. My name is Blake, and today we're doing a tier list. Not just any old tier list, we're doing an avatar tier list. Alright, and to introduce and welcome you to our tier list, we have our 5 tiers here. We have the S tier. This is the best in class, top tier decks, or top tier avatars that you can play. We have the A tier. This is an also really good, really strong decks. I would expect to see these at the top tables. They will sometimes pick up tournaments, however I expect the S tier to be dominating the meta. We have the B tier, or the you better wait until the next set tier. We have the C tier. You can play this casually, you can play for fun, you can play it on the kitchen table, but I wouldn't expect to take home a tournament with it. Then we have the D tier, or the don't play tier. This is not avatars that I would play right now. I think there are better options, and we'll talk about why for any avatars that may or may not be there. Alright, we're going to kick it off with our beta avatars here, because we have that right here first. And we're going to start off with our avatar of air. It's going to be a better wait until the next set tier. I think Avatar of Air is really good. I think people aren't prepared for the mobility that Avatar of Air is able to bring, but I think the lack there of removal in air is really slowing down Avatar of Air. You have Grapple Shot, great. You have Chaos Twister, not too bad. I think the randomness of the outcome can make it challenging to use. I think Avatar of Air is good. I think you could see it sneak in a tournament win here or there. I would expect it to be all over the place. I like Avatar of Air, but I think it's better removal, better creatures continue to come out in future sets. I think this is going to be one to keep an eye out for. I think it's a pretty strong avatar. Alright, next, Avatar of Earth. This is going to be our first S tier placement. Avatar of Earth just has everything going for it. Earth is an incredibly strong site right now. You have Barry, you have Earthquake, you have Pudge Butcher. Lots of really good spells that you're able to cast out of Earth. Because Earth is so strong, that also means that your opponent is very likely to be playing Earth right now. And with your opponent being likely to play Earth, Earth already being a strong site, that just boosts up the avatar of Earth. And I would expect it to be consistently at the top tables going forward. I would hope that maybe there will be some sort of reprint with different art, or maybe the Dust reward system can bring in a way to add more Avatar of Earth supply to the game. And unfortunately right now, with it being about $200 a card for the alpha from the precons, or even up to $1,200 for the foils, or even the Curio Avatar of Earth, this is going to be a card that I just keep an eye out for over time. I think it's only going to get better. I think it's only going to get stronger. So therefore, unless there's a reprint in the future of it, I don't think it's going to get more expensive. Next, we're going to go with Avatar of Water here. And this is going to be our first don't play tier. I think there's better options out there. You can teleport. That's great. What are you doing with that teleportation? I have not played against an Avatar of Water. I don't expect to. I also haven't built a deck with an Avatar of Water. I don't expect to do that either. Maybe there will be some more support that makes teleportation specifically within water more viable, but for now, I wouldn't expect to play it. Next, we have the Avatar of Fire. This is one that I'm also going to put into the don't play tier. I'm going to put it better than the Avatar of Water, but I'm still not playing this card. How many decks have you seen Firebolt be in? None. Yeah. So you can tap and discard a fire site for a Firebolt? Sure, maybe. No, there's better cards. You're not even playing it in your deck. You'd rather just see another random card out of your hand. That's where Sorcery comes in. We'll talk about Sorcery a little bit later, but I'd rather have a random card on my deck that I actually am playing than a Firebolt that I'm not playing, or Fireball that I'm not playing. Okay, well that covers the beta avatar, or the alpha avatars. Let's shift over to the beta avatars here. Let's start off with Flamecaller. This is one that I like. I think it only gets better over time as it becomes more minions, better minions, higher thresholds potentially. but I'm still going to go ahead and put this in You Can Play It Casually tier. I think it's fun. I think it's great. I think it's a really good deck for beginners to be able to learn the foundations, and I think it's a great beta pre-con product. However, you shoot off your first projectile. It's maybe 4 or 6, and then after that it's like 2 from here on out. I'd rather tap to draw a random good card in my deck than tap to shoot a projectile that might deal 2 damage. I think Flamecaller is only going to get better over time as it becomes more Fire Threshold minions. However, I don't expect it to be an S or an A tier avatar in the future. Geomancer, on the other hand, I think is actually pretty strong. Earth, like we said, is already a really strong site. I only think it's going to get better over time, and as it becomes more Earth sites that you can trigger to create rubble, I would just be watching as we can maybe make a really strong mono Earth deck. Geomancer gives you some of the flexibility and freedom of being able to play multiple sites that something like a Pathfinder that gets card advantage in a different way doesn't do. There's value in Geomancer, and I would expect it to only get better as a mono Earth deck potentially becomes better. Since we're talking about mono colors, well, let's go ahead and bring out Spark Mage here, and I'm going to also put this one in the you better wait until the next set tier. I think Spark Mage is good. I've seen some really good, strong, powerful decks with Spark Mage, but I think it's missing something. It's missing something to take it over the top. I think you can make some really good aggressive strategies out of Spark Mage, but you get to this point where then you're only doing Thunderbolts, basically, of just tapping to deal 2 damage to a random unit nearby. And that can be fine. But when you start top decking, sometimes you top deck a 1 threshold, a 2 threshold, and you're just not able to get that much done with the Spark Mage. I think Spark Mage is good. I think it's cool. I think there's more cards with more air threshold come out. It's only going to get better. Wave Shaper. I think this also goes into the You Can Play It Casually tier. I think it's a fun. I think we would probably agree that right now water is one of the most underpowered elements in the game. And while I would rather play it than an avatar of water, I think that sometimes Wave Shaper can be outclassed by just drawing an extra card. Now, I think Wave Shaper is good at maintaining tempo, being able to tap down an opponent enemy there, but if you're doing that, you're not drawing a card or a site or playing a site, and so at some point it just isn't as good as Sorcerer. Okay, so next we are now in the, call it normal, the regular avatars. We're gonna start with Battle Mage. We're probably going to upset a little bit of some people here, but we're going to put Battle Mage and the You Can Play It Casually tier. Top You Can Play It Casually tier, but You Can Play It Casually tier. I think Battle Mage is good. I think it's fun. You get to kill creatures, draw cards, but when you attack, you're taking damage back. And there's other ways to draw cards that don't cost you life, like Sorcerer. I think Avatar of Earth, with how strong Earth sites are, it's just the better Battle Mage right now. I think there's better cards that you can play when you're playing Avatar of Earth that you don't have to play in Battle Mage, and I think that you can have a 5-6 power Avatar of Earth when you're playing some artifacts that you really only want to play on your Battle Mage. I think it's a fun kitchen table deck. I think it's good. I enjoyed it. That was one of the first decks that I built, was Battle Mage. However, I think you can play it casually, but I don't think you're going to see it at any top tables anytime soon. Elementalist. This is going to be one that I'm going to put on the you probably just better wait until the next set tier. I think Elementalist is strong. I'm going to put it above Geomancer. I think I'm going to put it below Avatar of Earth or Avatar of Air. But the future looks bright for Elementalist. They're only going to print more cards as it becomes better 1-drop or 1 threshold spells. Elementalist only is going to continue to get better as the sites that are colorless continue to get better. Elementalist will only get better. I think Elementalist has a bright future. I think you can do some really fun things with Roots right now, or a Throne. I think it probably sits closer to that casual tier than it's going to win or be at the top tables. But I think you better wait till the next set. I think Elementalist only gets better. All right, next we have Pathfinder. This is a personal favorite of mine. I love me some Pathfinder, and this is one that I think is really strong right now because of the card advantage that it gets you. You're drawing spells every single turn. So if anybody ever wants to get more than just 3 mana out, Pathfinder draws you 1 net new card for every single mana they play past 3. And as more sites come out, Pathfinder's only going to get better. When you can start playing mono color aggro Pathfinder, you better watch out. I think Pathfinder's going to be really strong. I think it's really strong now. I think you can see it take down some of these larger tournaments. I don't think it's quite as good as Avatar of Earth. However, I think there has a lot of really good solid strengths to it that makes it an A-tier deck. Now, one thing I do want to say about Pathfinder is you can not have the threshold that you need. You can just get Pathfindered. You can get 4 air threshold in a row when you just need that 1 earth threshold to bury an annoying minion that your opponent cast. There's also times where you're going to get nothing but earth. You're going to need that 1 air that you need for the grapple shot. There's times you can get Pathfindered, and that's why I don't play a single colorless site or thresholdless site in my Pathfinder decks. I'd rather just be a threshold to help get me closer to my objectives of Pathfinder. Alright, next, Enchantress, 2nd place in the Sorcery League. Really strong avatar, I think, in the future. I think I'm going to put it below the potential of Avatar of Air. I think there's close that it could be above Avatar of Air. But I think as we get more auras over time, Elementalist only gets better. It only gets stronger. The interactions are a little bit unique and weird, which means people sometimes shy away from being able to, from playing it or from using it. And that gives advantage. I wouldn't be surprised if you see an Enchantress do well in a tournament. It might even take down a tournament or two. So maybe for that case, we'll go ahead and put it better than Avatar of Air. However, I think these options up here in the S and the A tier are still better than Enchantress until more auras come out. But when more auras come out, you better watch out, because I think Enchantress is going to come. It's going to come swinging, and I think it's going to be a really strong deck in the future. All right, Seer. This is going to be another. You can play Seer casually, and you can play it with your roots, and you can go find your combo deck. But I'd rather just draw a card. Sorcerer is better. That's kind of where it comes from. Seer is great at helping you find your roots, to help you be able to blow up your roots. But I think that strategy is inconsistent with the way the rarity system works with uniques. I think Seer is good. I think it's fun. I think you can play it casually, but I wouldn't expect it to be top tier at any major tournaments, making top 4s at these big, 64, 72 player tournaments that we're seeing right now. Okay, next, let's go Sorcerer. Talked a lot about Sorcerer here. I'm going to put Sorcerer above Pathfinder in the A tier. Sorcerer is such a strong avatar. I wasn't really building with it. I wasn't really playing with it. I just thought it was a worse Pathfinder at first, because I was like, oh, I can draw extra cards too, but I also get to 9 mana. But not every deck needs to go to 9 mana. Sorcerer decks, if you're a really good deck builder, you understand what your curve is. You're able to take advantage of that. I've seen some really strong Sorcerer burn decks playing mixes and only going to 4 or 5 mana and then drawing 2 cards a turn. And that 2 cards a turn can outpace almost anything an opponent can do. You have to decide, is the effect of your avatar stronger than an extra card a turn? In a lot of the cases right now, in beta at least, it's not. An extra card is better. Sorcerer is just better than a lot of other avatars right now. It's not as fun, it's not as splashy, I get it. It's really strong being able to draw an extra spell each turn. Alright, last but not least, Death Speaker. Death Speaker has a place in my heart because this is the deck that I used and I took to go undefeated in my first Sorcery tournament, or Sorcery Constructed tournament at least. And I have an affinity for Death Speaker and what it can do to maintain card advantage and the strategy of being able to pull minions out of your graveyard. But I also think it's really strong. I think it's going to be an S tier pick. Yes, it just won the Sorcerer League, for example, with Ira playing 4-color Death Speaker. I think there's a reason it won. I think it's really good. I think it's very versatile. I think it's also very consistent. It's playing common sense to be able to help identify the card that it needs and pull it out in the right moment. In a best of one format, I think Death Speaker is really hard to deal with. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of Death Speakers at a lot of the top tables. I think if you've not piloted Death Speaker, you need to get some reps in if you want to play it at the highest level. There's a lot of nuances to when do I need to draw a sight? When do I need to draw a spell? What am I searching for my common sense? There's a lot of these things that need to be worked through. And if this Death Speaker is a deck that you're interested in playing, I would encourage you to jump on Tabletop Simulator. There's an amazing community out there where you can get a lot of repetition games and to practice your Death Speaker gameplay. So this is my tier list. You let me know in the comments section, what do you agree with? What I get right? What I get wrong? Why is Avatar of Fire way better than what I said? Why do you want to play a Fireball in your deck? You tell me in the comments below. But until then, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.